Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays. Jackie knows is the former president of Morehouse College in Atlanta. He's known for many things. But one of the quotes that I found to be so profound, he said, "I only have a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it. Give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny minute, but eternity is in it." And so I want to thank all the families who were here. I want to say congratulations to all of you as the graduates here 2014, to the Board of Trustees, to the great faculty and staff who are here, and my dear friend, Jackie Jenkins Scott, who is your leadership here over this past decade. I just found it so overwhelming. I have gone to a number of colleges and universities across the country, but I can tell you that the leader of this institution is one of the most special leaders that I have seen anywhere, and you ought to give her a big round of applause. So when I thought about a few things that I wanted to say to you today, there was a theme that kind of emerged for me, and that theme was time. It's the reason why I gave you the quote from Dr. Mays. This notion of time, because time for each one of us is not endless. We all have a finite amount of time that we have to do the things that we were sent here to do. And so there are three things that I want to say to you. One is taking the time to, first of all, seek your purpose. Seeking your purpose. Taking the time to strive for personal excellence. And thirdly, in time, dare to be great. Dare to be great. And so I just want to take a few minutes on each one of those. The first one is in seeking your purpose. The question I would ask you is, why are you here? I don't mean here at this very moment as you graduate, but your very existence. Why are you here? What is your purpose? What is it that you were born or created to do? I often say that there are two most important dates in a person's life. One, the day that they were born, and secondly, the day that you realize why you were born. This message is not simply for the graduates. I hope everybody is listening. Because far too many of us live lives that are not purposeful, they're not fulfilled lives, because many of us have never figured out why you are here on this earth at this time. My father, who you just saw stand up a moment ago, would always say to me that in the vastness of the universe, when you think about it, our time on earth is not even a blip on the screen. It's a vapor. But there's a reason why you're here. And you have to do the things that will help you to understand what your purpose is and why you're here. So Jackie, you mentioned I'm a graduate of Rutgers University. That was in question at a certain point as an undergrad. I did very well when I was in high school, really from K through 12. I was a very good student, did well. I had always said that I was going to be a lawyer when I grew up. And it was really during my last year of high school that some counselors gave me advice that perhaps I should consider being an engineer, because I was a good math and science student in high school. And I allowed that to kind of sway me. You can make a lot of money as an engineer. And I said, yeah. And you know how much money they said I could make as an engineering student coming right out of college? which was a lot of money back then. And I said, that sounds good to me. And I was an engineering major for 2 years. And for the first time in my life, failing classes. I mean, I took geometronics. And I sat in the middle of that room and I said, what in the world am I doing here? But yet, I was afraid to switch my major because I felt as though I was going to let a lot of people down. And I felt as though I was wasting I would have wasted a lot of time to then have to switch my major and go in a different direction. And I remember one day there was a guy on campus, and I got off the campus bus, and his name was Randy Harris. He's one of the older students. He had been in the Army, he came back. And Randy said to me, I said, Randy, I'm just overwhelmed this notion that, switching my major, I feel like I'm going to be starting all over from scratch after 2 years. And it was a rainy, drizzly, overcast day like it was as we were coming in here today. And he said to me, listen, man, anytime you learn through these experiences, you've never wasted time. I'm telling you, the sun came out, it broke through the heavens and the clouds. It was like I could hear the angels sing. And it was just an epiphany for me because it gave me permission to go in a different direction with my life. And I ultimately switched to being a political science major with the intention of going to law school, which I had always said from the time I was a child that was what I was going to do. And it was, even then, my purpose had not been really set. I was working at the Attorney General's office and I just realized after some deeper thought and deeper reflection and a lot of prayer that where my gift and my talent was working with young people. Because I had been a teacher during the day while I actually went to law school at night. And I was a teacher thinking it was just going to be something I would just do for a few years while I went off to become a lawyer. And I realized that was where I was really supposed to be. But now I had the notion, I said, maybe I want to educational administration, become a principal one day. But I realized I was going to have to go back to school to get another master's degree. I had just recently graduated from law school. I said, I have to go back and get another master's. So here's what happened. I left the Attorney General's office January 1st, particular year. And I said, I want to be in a school in September as a school administrator. So that said that I only had 1 semester to get a master's degree. So I called the state and I found out that you actually only needed 24 credits to get your state certification, which would allow you to go and do this. I didn't need all 30 credits to get the master's degree. So that became my job. How do I get 24 credits in 1 semester so that I can be in school in September? And I went to Brooklyn College and I spoke to the head of the department. He said, you sound like you have a great background. I'll put you in a program. You're a non-matriculated student, but you can get 15 credits, which included the internship. I said, but that's not enough. I need all 24 credits. He said, nobody walks in and takes the entire program in 1 semester. Be happy that you got 15 credits. That's more than we give most students. But I left his office feeling very despondent because I said, I'm going to have to come back and do another semester, which means I won't actually be able to be a school administrator for another year. I went home that night, and I woke up in the middle of the night with a voice in my head that said, who said you had to get all 24 credits from the same school? I mean, where does that come from? Long story short, I wound up going to Brooklyn College, City College, and Baruch College at the same time in 1 semester and took all 24 credits and not the whole program. The reason I'm telling you that is not to toot my own horn. When I'm saying that to you for a reason. It's to say, when you focus, sure enough focus on something, and you have a real clear goal, and you're prepared to put in the work to make it happen, the universe will conspire for your success. You know? Since the beginning of time, there's never been another you ever created. Think about that, how awesome that is. The billions and billions of people that have lived on this earth. But there was never another you. Oh, there have been people who've had your name. There have been people who look like you, sound like you, your height, your weight, all of that. But there's never been you. So God, in his infinite wisdom, created you because you have something that the Almighty needs for you to do that only you can do. And that wasn't just you as graduates, that's every single one of us in this room. That's what I mean when I say you have to seek your purpose. Because otherwise you can spend the rest of your life doing a lot of stuff and never make the mark, never hit the mark of why you were created in the first place. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who don't believe in you. That's okay, because you know you have to do what you need to do. My mom and dad are here, and they raised 3 sons in New York City. I'm the oldest of 3. My brother Philip is a year younger than me. I was a great student in school. Philip was another story. He was bored. He was the classic middle child. Every year we keep our fingers crossed that he would, get promoted to the next grade. We sit around the huddle with him and look at the report card and say, yes, Phil, you're going to the 4th grade. Philip he moved in that vein from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. He got accepted to one college, Lincoln University, a small, historically black college in Oxford, Pennsylvania. But it was at that moment while he was on the campus at Lincoln University that the light finally went on. And Philip decided that he would begin to manifest his potential, what he was really supposed to be and what he was supposed to do. And Philip graduated from Lincoln University, and he followed my father in his career onto the New York City Police Department. Now, my dad did 27 years on the New York City Police Department, got promoted as high as lieutenant in New York City. If you think that's something, big story. Philip Banks Jr., my father's Philip Banks Jr., my brother is Philip Banks III. 2 Philip Bankses on the New York City Police Department at the same time. One is a lieutenant and one is a regular patrolman. After a couple of years, because he followed my dad's mentorship, his tutelage, around what he was supposed to do, a couple of years later, Philip got promoted and became a sergeant, right below my dad. And a lot of people couldn't believe it. Philip was a bit of a knucklehead when we were kids growing up. A lot of teachers who didn't think that Philip was really going on and achieve a whole lot of things. Guess what happened? A couple of years later, Philip got promoted again. To what? Lieutenant. Now you got an even bigger story, New York City. Father and son, both on the department together at the same rank of lieutenant. Big story. A year later, Philip got promoted again to the rank of captain above my father, and my father retired. Right there, my father said, the day that you have to salute your own son is the day you retire. Philip went on to become a deputy inspector, an inspector. Then he made the rank of chief on the New York City Police Department, where he got 1 star. Years later, he became a 2-star chief. Then he became a 3-star chief. And today, my brother sits as the highest ranking police officer in the city of New York as a 4-star chief. He is the chief of all the chiefs. The only person higher than him is the police commissioner. Philip Banks III, who was the knucklehead when we were kids growing up, but you never know where you are going to rise as long as you believe in yourself. And so whatever it is, you strive for your own personal excellence. Because once the light went on and Philip knew what he wanted to do, he became better at it than everybody. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, once said, if a man can write a better book, or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor. Even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. Be all of that. Be great. Be excellent in your personal excellence. And the country needs you to be excellent. Charles Osgood, the CBS correspondent, once wrote a poem that said, pretty good. He said there once was a pretty good student who sat in a pretty good class and was taught by a pretty good teacher who always let pretty good pass. He wasn't terrific at reading. He wasn't a whiz-bang at math. But for him, education was leading straight down a pretty good path. He didn't find school too exciting, but he wanted to do pretty well. And he did have some trouble with writing, and nobody had taught him to spell. When doing arithmetic problems, pretty good was regarded as fine. 5 plus 5 didn't always add up to 10. A pretty good answer was 9. The pretty good class that he sat in was part of a pretty good school, and the student was not an exception. On the contrary, he was the rule. The pretty good school that he went to was there in a pretty good town, and nobody there seemed to notice that he could not tell a verb from a noun. The pretty good student, in fact, was part of a pretty good mob, and the first time he knew what he lacked was when he looked for a pretty good job. It was then when he sought a position, he discovered that life could be tough. And he soon had a sneaky suspicion pretty good might not be good enough. The pretty good town in our story was part of a pretty good state, which had pretty good aspirations and prayed for a pretty good fate. There once was a pretty good nation, pretty proud of the greatness it had, which learned much too late. If you want to be great, pretty good is in fact pretty bad. You see, the work that you've done here at Wheelock College was not to prepare you to go out and be pretty good and to just try to figure out a space that you can fit in. You've been prepared to be great. As I've had a chance to talk to the members of the faculty, I've been overwhelmed by this notion of how much they deeply care about their students. That's not the case everywhere that you go. Many places, the students are a number. There are so many. But this is a small community. It's like family. And you should consider yourselves really very, very fortunate that you had an opportunity to be a part of Wheelock. But I think more importantly, you have to take the lessons that you've learned from Wheelock and to use your time wisely to go on and do great things. Because I think that's the third and final point, which I really want to make, is this notion that you should dare to be great. Success results from fulfilling your own potential. But greatness results from helping others to fulfill theirs. And many of you who are graduating, you're going to be going off to work with young people and schools and social work and working for the greater good. That's where you find greatness. It's not in your personal wealth that you may accumulate, and that's fine. But it's in knowing that you are helping to transform the lives of people that you meet every day. People who seek you out. And so you've got to seek out mentors as well, because none of us do this by ourselves. And so I just want to continue to encourage you to do the right thing and to be all that you are expected to be. My final couple of comments are this. Alexander the Great, on his deathbed, he summoned his generals and he told them his 3 ultimate wishes. Number 1, that the best doctors should carry his coffin. 2, that the wealth he has accumulated, all the money, the gold, the precious stones, all those things, should be scattered along the procession to the cemeteries. And finally, that his hands should be let loose, hanging outside the coffin for all to see. And one of his generals, who was surprised to hear those requests, he asked Alexander to explain why he wanted those as his 3 final requests. He said, I want the best doctors to carry my coffin, to demonstrate that even in the face of death, the best doctors in the world have no power to heal. I want the roll to be covered with my treasure so that everybody sees that material wealth acquired on earth stays on earth. And finally, he said, I want my hands to swing in the wind so that people understand that we come to this world empty-handed. And when we leave this world, we leave it empty-handed. And after the most precious treasure of all is exhausted, and that most precious treasure is time. Time is our most precious treasure because it is limited. We can produce more wealth, but we cannot produce more time. So when we give someone our life, when we give someone our time, we're giving them our life. We're giving them a portion of our life because time is the most precious thing that we have. Finally, what will matter when your days are done? Michael Josephson said this, ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. All the things that you collected in life, whether they were treasured or forgotten, will soon pass to someone else. Your wealth, fame, and temporal power will shrivel to irrelevance. It will not matter what you own or what you were owed. Your grudges, resentments, frustrations, and jealousies will finally disappear. So too will your hopes, ambitions, plans, and all your to-do lists. They're all going to expire. The wins and losses that at one point in your life seemed so important will fade away. It won't matter where you came from or what side of the tracks you lived on at the end. It won't matter whether you were beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but rather your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, but how many will feel a lasting loss when you're gone. What will matter is not your memories, but the memories that live in those who loved you. What will matter is how long you will be remembered, by whom, and for what. Last point, most important. Living a life that matters does not happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Choose to live a life that matters. Congratulations, Wheelock graduates.